Nestled in between these two towering Pioneer speakers I've got sitting right here is a Dell Dimension 4300 desktop computer, the subject of today's video. This is Dell's first entry, I believe, in the sub $1,000 PC category. This was a Pentium 4 system equipped with 256 megabytes of RAM, SD RAM of course, video card, AGP, GeForce 2 MX with either 32 or 64 meg of memory. We'll have to see. It's probably a 32 meg card. Sound Blaster Live sound card and a modem. This particular computer was given to me at the store. Someone dropped it off and said, "Here, take it." I said, "Okay." So here it is, folks, for all your viewing pleasure. Case is in relatively pretty good condition. There is just a little bit of a boo-boo here and up here as well. Other than that, it's really not scuffed up or scratched up at all. Typically you see these things and they're all scratched and scuffed right here because people like to drag them across the concrete on their sides for whatever apparent reason. See on the top there, it's pretty clean up there as well, and on this side of it. As far as I can tell, this computer is completely 100% original. Has the factory installed CDRW in it, and the 1.44 megabyte floppy drive right here, which according to UXW Bill makes this not a weenie modern computer. This one has survived with its door intact, fully functional. You can see the Dell service tag right there. There are two USB ports under here and a headphone jack right here. Sometimes these front panel USB ports get to be a little bit fun when you're trying to put a thumb drive in there. Sometimes they'll catch on this little ridge right here, but other than that, I don't really have too much of a problem with them. See, I've done a little bit of cleaning to this case. Nothing too fancy. I haven't tore it apart and thrown it in the dishwasher, so it wasn't that bad of a computer. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of this thing. So this computer is obviously the traditional Dell clamshell style case. This is also, I believe, not necessarily the very first Dell computer that came in this clamshell style case, but it is definitely one of the very first ones that did. You can see the ample supply of USB ports right there. Two of them to be exact. You got your GeForce 2 MX card right there, Sound Blaster Live, and then there's our modem right there. I probably will be pulling the modem out at some point, but I don't know. Got the Dell stamped blank plates right there. Let's see, there's not a whole lot of dust remaining in the fan there. I blew some of this out. Really wasn't that dusty. Really wasn't too bad at all. As I said before, this was Dell's introduction to the sub $1,000 category, although the complete system costs $999, which to me doesn't seem like very much of a sub $1,000 PC. But I guess because it's $1 under $1,000, it's considered a sub $1,000 PC. So I do have the original power cord to this thing right here. On the bottom of this thing you can see the building sticker right there. Manufactured 12/18/2001. Just a few months after 9/11. So let's have a look at the inside of this little Dell 4300 here. Not a whole lot different from any other clamshell Dell. It's pretty much all the same inside of these computers. Not a whole lot different. You got your drive rails right there. And two more for an extra hard drive, just in case you wanted to add more optical or hard drives to your computer. You could do that. That's something I did like about these Dells. You know, a lot of computer companies, they like to kindly leave extra drive rails out of your system that you'd have to special order from the company if you wanted to do any kind of drive upgrades to your computer, additional hard drives and things like that. But Dell did that just the way it was. They just threw them in there. It's kind of interesting the way they did these clamshell cases. You've got a little seal that runs around the edge of the metal halves where the two pieces come together there to form a fairly good seal. Not perfect, obviously, but just kind of one of those little touches that Dell didn't really have to probably do, but it's kind of impressive that they went to that length to, I don't know why they did that, to seal it up or seal noise out to help airflow. I'm not really sure why they would have done that, but they did it, so that's got to be a sign of some kind of quality, right? This case was manufactured in December 6, 2001, so it was manufactured just a couple weeks or so before the entire computer was assembled. You can see the Dell part number there for the case itself. Let's see what kind of hard drive is in this thing. Who makes this? This looks like a Seagate to me, judging from that cover there. I want to say I think this is a 40 gig or an 80 gig drive. I don't remember now. Let's just have a look-see, shall we? 80 gig Seagate Barracuda. Back when Seagate still made fairly decent hard drives. A little dusty, but nothing that a wiping on the shirt won't take care of here. There you go. Look at that. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. If that was any filthier, I wouldn't have done that. But that's very light. That's what I would consider to be normal dust buildup. That's not bad at all. See down here to the motherboard. This 4300 is basically the identical system to the Optiplex 240 in a lot of ways. This system has the same chipset, the 845 chipset. It runs SD RAM, 2 of them, uses the same shroud, the same heatsink, the same capacitors. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same motherboard, other than the fact that Dell modified it slightly to lop off these 2 PCI slots down here in favor of a edge connector, so that they could use this motherboard in the smaller form factor desktop towers. You can see the fairly large Dell cooling fan there, which runs surprisingly quietly. You can't really hear this thing running at all, amazing enough. Got a 250 watt power supply in there, Dell original, made in Thailand. I think that's better than made in China. You can see the voltage regulator right there on that card there. This was before they figured out how to put all the voltage regulation section on the motherboard. They just put it on a daughter card there and soldered it right to the motherboard. Some of these Dells and other computer manufacturers, especially the Xeon versions, had a removable VR board on there. They chose to solder that on there, so heaven forbid if that ever failed. But they don't really fail on these. I've never seen one fail. Usually the caps go all kinds of pimply and burst everywhere. This one has not done that. This one has survived. I'd say this motherboard looks practically brand new. It's amazing after 14 years now? Well, 13 years, because we're just in January of 2015, so as I'm filming this, you can see the NVIDIA GeForce 2 MX card right there, and this is a 64 meg version. A Sound Blaster Live card, and our little modem right here, which, the other thing I'd like to point out too, there is no, if you didn't catch this at the beginning of the video, there is no Ethernet installed on this computer. So this computer was not set up from the factory for high-speed internet, which in 2001 wasn't anywhere near as common as it is today, but I'm surprised that Dell didn't give that as an option. I'm sure it was an optional PCI add-on card. This computer obviously never had that option installed on it. If it did, it might have been a USB dongle of some sort. This computer does have the original 256 meg of, I believe that's Micron, memory in there. I did find and add another identical stick of Micron 256 meg PC133 cast latency 3 on both sticks to give it up to 512 meg of RAM, which is going to be fine for now. I'm not going to do a whole lot with this machine, but just kind of tinker with it. Let me show you something under this processor here. If I can get these little spring clips off. I don't really have a problem with these. They're fairly easy to get off. Well, at least usually they are. There we go. I've already had this off once before, but I was quite surprised what I found when I pulled this heatsink off of here. Don't fall on the floor when you see this. Yeah, that's right. There is no thermal compound. They just used a thermal pad on that. And in fact, the thermal the thermal pad has been in contact with the processor for so long that the raised lettering of the processor is actually sort of embedded itself into that thermal pad there. Kind of see some of the areas there of that thermal pad where it made a little bit more contact with the processor than others. You can see right there around the edges, of course. It seems like the processor had a little bit more pressure applied to it by the heatsink on those corners, to indicate either this heatsink isn't totally flat or the heat spreader on the processor is not entirely flat. I tend to believe that it's actually the heatsink, because you can see there is a slight little bow in that. If you look at the lighting right there, it kind of bows out in the middle there a little bit. You can also see the rough machining. It's not terribly rough, but it's definitely, you can definitely feel it very slightly with your finger there. So a little lapping could take care of that, but I've seen even modern heat sinks that aren't even that good, which in water blocks, which really surprises me. But anyway, this is going to stay on there the way it is. This is a 1.6 gigahertz Pentium 4. That's right, I said 1.6 gigahertz Pentium 4 with a blistering 256K of cache, running at a whopping 400 megahertz bus. You can see that, of course it's upside down, but you can see that, what I call vintage Pentium 4, although that's not the first Pentium 4 logo I've seen on these processors, but they changed it in this version of it. 1.75 volts, yes, that's a fairly high voltage processor even for back then. But nevertheless, this thing's obviously never had a problem keeping that processor cool. The fan doesn't run at full speed at all, so we're just going to leave it the way it is. Being a 1.6 Pentium 4, it's not going to be too terribly hot. You know, it's not like we're going to be putting a 3.4 Pentium D press hot in this thing. Then I think we might want to have a little bit better cooling. What's nice about these clamshell cases is that everything inside of the case is identically the same from one model to another clamshell. The front might look a little bit different, but the insides are all the same on all these cases. You've got the motherboard mounted on a tray and one screw holding it in. You push this little lever up and the entire tray unlocks and pulls out. Now you'd have to pull obviously the PCI expansion cards and unplug all your cables to get it out of here, but once you do that, this thing just slips right up on out of there, including the back panel down there for the IO shield panel back here. You can see they put some more of that sealant right there. It's kind of a gasket material, whatever you call it. It's kind of padded. I don't know if that's to keep noise down, vibrations down. That could be what that is. And that actually might be exactly what this is. This is to keep the two halves of the case from vibrating when the fan's going at full 100%, when the hard drives are spinning. That's probably what this is for. I bet you that's what that's for. But anyway, it's in fairly good condition for its age. I really have no problem with it whatsoever. I do prefer the other style of Dell shroud that they had, where the shroud actually comes out and then down and over the heatsink to pull air through the fins, instead of this style where it just basically draws air up and around the heatsink and doesn't actually cool as well. But it works. It works good enough. So one of the things that's kind of funny about these Dells, I've seen countless of ones of these like that. They just never seem to figure out to push that front panel audio header into the sound card all the way. I wanted to show you that before I plug that in all the way. It's always very common to see these Dells where that connector's not quite in all the way. Now it is. The power plug also is a little bit out too, so we'll take care of that. Just gonna check over all these real quick here. These all seem fine. Well, I think we'll button this thing up and we'll do a power on this thing. Now, of course, a proper nostalgic demonstration of this computer would not be complete. That's right, folks. This is the entire computer that was given to me. The tower, the monitor, the speakers, the keyboard, and yes, indeed, the mouse. This is all the way it looked back in 2001 when this purchase was brand new. This is what $999 bought you back then, or what was considered a sub $1,000 PC. This one's got a fairly nice Dell monitor with it, and this is a flat screen monitor, a true flat screen monitor. Although it's not, I don't think, considered a Trinitron. It might be considered a Trinitron, I'm not sure. Dell did use Trinitron monitors back then. Typically the flat screen ones were Trinitron, but usually if it's a Trinitron, they say somewhere on the monitor it's Trinitron, so I really don't know for sure. This is one thing I do like about having a complete system, that you can see everything matches quite nicely there. The Dell logos and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and power this on here. As you can see, the paint's not wore off at all on the buttons. In the slightest. Very nice. You can see how whisper quiet that computer is. Windows XP, and I know already this is Home Edition on this computer. Nice Harman Kardon speakers. I had a set of these for a while and they lasted quite a long time, but something went wrong with the power supply. I don't know if it was the adapter or if it was the... Wow, that was louder than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, I got about 7 or 8 years out of them and they quit working. So nice to have another set of these. I did like them when I had them. Okay, so I turned down this camera's brightness a little bit too. It's kind of funny, it comes up and says updates are ready for your computer. I have this computer not on the internet right now. There is no Ethernet port. By the way, that brings me to an interesting point. 2001 or early 2002, whichever this time computers could have been purchased at, this computer did not come with an Ethernet jack on it. So there you go. You were not allowed to get on the internet with high speed back then. And high speed was around back then, even though it was not quite as common as it is obviously nowadays, but still they didn't give you that particular option. Quest Quick Connect, that means this had DSL on it at some point. Well, it couldn't have because that doesn't have an Ethernet card in it. Probably they might have Quest dial-up, probably would be my guess. I don't see any original Dell software on here. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but kind of surprising. Actually, it's not surprising because this computer has been molested by a competitor store, and so at some point in its history, because it had that competitor store sticker on the side of the case, which is something that is a pet peeve for me. I don't like putting stickers on people's computers. I'm just really against that. So I don't put anything like that. All kinds of pictures left on here. Looks like, if the pictures are right, the computer was last used in 2009. Some kind of a graduation there of some sort. Look at us, aren't we cool? That says 2007 on it. I would say the mouse needs a little bit of work. The button feels like it's about ready to fall off of it, but hey, it's working. So far there's no pictures or video that would get me banned from YouTube on this thing, so that's good. I'd say the quality of this picture is quite good on these monitors. So one thing I do definitely agree with the UXW Bill about, these Dell monitors, boy, I've never seen one that's actually bad. I don't know. They just seem to work. They're crisp, they're bright, they're really bright, and they just never seem to die. I don't know. Some little high school football game there. The Cyclones. Yeah, cool. Let's see what we're running here for a service pack. Okay, we're still on service pack 2. Given the fact that this computer shipped in late 2001, I'm guessing it probably came originally with service pack 1 edition on it. So we're running the basic no frills desktop here. We can get rid of shadows too, why not? See if we have anything naughty going on in the device manager here. No, device manager is clean. NVIDIA GeForce 2 MX. Is this the NVIDIA provided driver or is this a Windows generic driver? Looks like this is an NVIDIA driver. That's good. CDRW. Enable digital audio for this device. I'm going to turn that off. I prefer analog audio. Unless there's a spitif out on the CD-ROM itself. This does have write caching enabled, so that's good. Actually seems like a pretty snappy computer. Opens right up pretty fast. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff to delete right there. Those NT uninstall files and folders. I typically delete all those to clean up the hard drive, including all these log files right here. 2005. Let's see what the newest file is on here. Let's go by details. Yeah, 2014. This is when I first turned this computer on. Prior to that, 2008. Looks like the last time, 2008 was the last time this computer was actually turned on. There's a Dell folder. Drivers, okay. Actually, there's one way to tell if this is the factory install or not. Yeah, it doesn't say Dell right here. Should have the Dell logo right here if this was a factory install. It must have been reinstalled with a probably either a retail copy or something at some point. So it should have the Dell logo right here, but it doesn't. So it's been reinstalled at some point. I like to turn this restore down too. Saves hard drive space. Those restore points practically are worthless. you get like 15, 20 years worth of restore points on there, taking up 20, 30, 40 gig of hard drive space, and you don't use them ever. You only need a couple of restore points typically, if even that. On Windows XP anyway. Let's see if there's anything else interesting in here. No videos. No, well, no iTunes. Boy, this is a sad computer. Doesn't look like they had any fun at all on this computer. What's this one here? Okay, so that file contained a bunch of phone numbers, and I'm going to edit that out of the video. Just a bunch of pictures, but it doesn't look like they used this thing for much more than that. What's this?
Well, Joe came over, we were...
A very short video clip, that's what that is. She's got some tiggle bitties there. Hello, Dolly. She's nice to look at. Yeah, there's some tiggle bitties right there. Let me tell you what. I like a lot. There's some more tiggle bitties. Oh yeah. This is the one benefit to getting computers. Sometimes you find some very nice looking pictures. Not necessarily pornographic in nature, but just, you know, on the edge. Yeah, she's got some tiggle bitties too. That's what I like to see. Aw, hugging daddy. Or I'm assuming that's her daddy. Man, look at how many orbs are around this guy. Look at all them orbs. Ooh-wee-oo. Well, I think that's about all we can see on this computer. Not a whole lot of anything interesting, and certainly nothing that'll get me banned from YouTube, unfortunately. So, HP, that's probably printer software. Hasbro Tonka Garage. Awesome Truck Adventures movie. Let's just take a look at this. Please insert disc. Well, F you. I actually think I've got the disc at work now that I think about it. There is a Tonka game CD at work. I wonder if that came out of this computer. And I completely forgot about it. Tonka Garage. Dang. Oh well. So I guess that'll wrap this video up. Oh, one thing I want to check though. These Harman Kardon speakers. See if I can find something to stick in here. They have a diagnostic port right there, and I'm kind of curious what happens. There's a little, I don't know, let's just see what happens here if I stick this in here. Nothing. Let me see if I can find something to poke in that. Just a second, folks. You never know when the straw to a blow-off can will come in handy. Let's see what happens here. That's what it does. You can have your own Morse code session right there if you want to. So I figured before I go ahead and wrap this video up, I'd go into the BIOS here and just take a quick look at the event log in this thing, just for shits and giggles. There it is. Let's see what we've got unread. Let's see here. Oh my! Someone was having some keyboard issues. Holy crap! Now the memory size, that's my adding the 256 meg stick in there. God, someone had a lot of problems with the keyboard. Apparently this computer traveled into the future. Huh. That's 2020, 2020. 17. Apparently in the year 2020 we're going to have a month of 20. Holy crap. I wonder what the hell happened to cause that. Oh boy. Yeah, well, I think I'll just leave those there, because maybe in 5 years down the road I'll revisit that and see what the heck happened then. I'll catch up with the future version of this Dell computer here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot interesting in here. USB emulation. This is a USB 1.1 computer, so it's not terribly useful without adding a USB 2.0 card to it. 100 megahertz bus speed. Of course, this gives you the opinion that you might be able to overclock this, but of course there is nothing that you can change on that. Yep. So that's kind of sad. Normal compatible. I wonder what compatible does. Well, anyway, I think that will conclude this video, folks. Take care, everyone. Peace out.